Hello again, and welcome to part 3 of the car wrap design tutorial. In this video, I'm going to show you how to break up each panel on the Dodge Charger for print. So first, before we do anything, we want to make sure that our design, we're going to click the zoom tool here, our magnifying glass. We're going to right click and hit print size. Now this is exactly the way that it will look when it comes off the printer. If these lines are not crisp and they are blurry any bit when you right click and hit print size, you will have a low quality print. Right now it appears that my lines are crisp, high quality, and you can see here this is the blurriness I'm discussing of the PNG image that I used to make my template. So to start, we're going to start off easy, and then we're going to get pretty complicated with the bumpers here. So I like to take my grid lines, and my grid lines are colored cyan right now. And I'm just going to get the side of the car here, side of the car here, front of the car, rear of the car, and then we're going to start with the hood. So, as I mentioned in part 2, we have 3 separate films that are typically your main sizes that you see in a wrap shop. So we have 48-inch film, 54-inch film, and 60-inch film. So, for the hood, let's see, with bleed meaning we're going to give extra material on the outside of the hood. You can't just put the exact size of the hood onto there. The installer will need extra material in order to manage the film and make sure that everything lines up. So I'm going to take another grid line and know that this hits right there at 79.3. I can come out 82.3, and now I have 3 inches of bleed on my hood. I'm going to do the same thing over here, taking this piece, meaning the farthest part out of the hood. I see that it measures in at 18.4, come out 3 inches, 15.4. Now we have bleed on the passenger side. I will do the same thing on the bottom here. It's at 80. Come out to 83. Right? 80.6. Come out to 83.6. And there you have it. So, for this hood, I'm just going to use the rectangle tool for this time being. I'm going to make sure that I am above my template layer. And I'm going to color this pink. And I'm going to drop down the opacity so that you can still see the car. And there you have your hood. So now we can see that this right now is 53.8 wide. Now we could print that on 54-inch film by just taking this, bringing it in a little bit to 52.5 or 52.25. And it probably won't make a difference because it's just a ½ inch that we're taking off, and now 52.25 will print great on 54-inch film. And I will be leaving all the sizes to every panel down in the description below. The next video will discuss cropping your design and making sure you have your print laid out properly for each size roll of film. Next, I'm going to take my grid lines again, and I know, and you can also find this online, that there's a body line that goes along this, from the front windshield to the back windshield. And there's a pillar here that connects these doors, but for the time being, we're going to line up this grid line to match up with both of the windows, and that measured at 23.6. So we're going to come out to 20.6. That'll be my bleed for my roof. I come down again to where that body line, where the rain gutter, I believe it is, rain rail, whatever you'd like to call it, sits at 74.7. That means we're going to bring it out to 77.7. Okay, now that the sides are done, I'm going to come up again to the furthest part that the roof's going to be on, which would be this. That measures in at 102.2. Come down 3 inches to 99.2. Now we got 3 inches of bleed there. Come out again, 164.4. We want 167.4. And there you have it. I'm going to take this rectangle, Control C, Control V, line her up, hold Shift if you're in Photoshop, 23, and there I have the height, meaning this way, is 57, and the width is 68. So, for this section, we know that 57 will fit on 60-inch film. It will not fit on 54-inch film. Next, the trunk. So, the trunk extends from its furthest point here, 191.7. So we're going to bring it back to 188.7. I think my math's correct there. Again, furthest point on the trunk, 214.8. We want it at 217.8. Same thing, 23.4. I'm going to bring it out to 20 and a half. Let's just say that'll be alright. We can follow that line. We could follow the same line as our roof here. We have enough play. And we'll be able to print it on 57, which is good. I mean 60, that is, at 57 high. See, that'll line up perfectly, top and bottom. And now, click off, 57 high, 29 wide. Now, I'm going to lighten this up even more so that we can see our spoiler here. And our spoiler hits here and here. So it can get a little tricky. So, we have this at 220. I'm going to give a lot of room, knowing that the spoiler may need room back here because it goes straight down at a 90 degree angle. So 220, let's give it 6 inches just to be safe. Okay, now for this side, 208, let's give it 4 inches on this side just to be safe. And up here, we got 16.4. That line, about 4 inches. Let's go with that line. I think that'll be good. So we can line it up to this. This was our side line. And we know that it's going to be the same here on the bottom. Hold Shift again. come down, hold shift again, come down, and this measures in at 72 high by 21.74 wide. And I know by looking at these two panels that if I were to line them up next to each other, we got 50.87 wide. That'll be crucial in the next video to show you how each panel can be put on grouped, paired, individual like these will be. That'll be in the next video. So for now, we now get into the very, very complicated part of the sides and the bumpers. So I again am going to grid this. I want to get the full height of the vehicle. That right there would be your very bottom, getting full coverage. And so our side, our bumper here, starts here, but our side is going to end here. So right now, since we're working on the side, I'm just going to put a grid line there, and our tail light back here will be the end for this side as well. Now, we're going to stick again with the 3 inches of bleed. So here I'm at 18.0. I'm going to bring it back to 15.0. Up here, I have 17.4. I'm going to bring it back to 14.4. Over here, I got 192.8, so we can do 195.8. And lastly, we got 69.2, and I want to add 3 inches to that. 72.2. Might as well keep using this. Seems to be a good color to see the design still. Again, holding shift if you're in Photoshop 23. And this comes in at 57.8 by 180. And you will do the exact same thing for your passenger side. So 57.8, it's a little bit on the big side. What I think that we could do here is bring it down just a hair. To 57.5, just to be safe. 57 will do. It's really not that big of a change, but that is your side. Now, this is where the math can get a little bit complicated because I'm going to be maneuvering between both files. So first, I want to get the measurement of our bumper. So I'm going to take this grid line, knowing that it's, nope, I'm going to make a new grid line. I think it would be easier. I'm going to make sure that I hit exactly right in here on this bumper. And using that 3-inch bleed will definitely help me with fitting in our print files to be as accurate as we can get it within our parameters of working. So now I have this grid line up here touching our bumper wheel well, and this grid line down here which was already touching. So I'm going to take the rectangular marquee tool and I'm going to come up to that grid line and I'm just going to get a measurement. I'm not selecting anything, I'm just getting this measurement, and it happens to be exactly 72 inches. So, for the sake of this video, I'm going to write down our bumper width right here. is 72 inches. Now that is not the full bumper. That is just your hood from your top view from your bumper passenger, bumper driver as the bird flies. What we need to know is the length of the front to where it ends. And we want to add bleed. So, if we have this here, again, we're going to add 3 inches of bleed. This side you don't need to because this is going to wrap around. This side is at 26.296, so I'm going to add 4 inches again just to be safe. So we have, let's just call it 30 and a half. That's from that point to that point, now we know is 26 with bleed included. So I can then know that the other side, from we just worked on the driver's side, I know now that the other side is also 26 and a half. So 26 and a half, let's get out our calculator. 26 and a half plus 26 and a half is 53, plus 72 is 125. That is our full bumper length from left to right is 125. Now, I again suggest to add even more because bumpers need to be stretched. So I'm going to add another 5 inches to my measurements just to be safe that this bumper will be printed at 130 inches length. Now, we want to get the height. So we can go here to the bottom of the bumper. We can go here to about the top, and we can do that measurement comes in at 28.1. So let's just call it 28 for now. I know that if I want the height of this, right here the grid line comes in at 39.7 on the y-axis. I can bring that up to that'll be 36.9, and for this one comes in at 68 basically, so I can bring that to 71 on the dot. Now I can see that this can get a little complicated, but we know that that's the line that we're working from. Right now our full bumper height is 34 with bleed included. So I'm going to write that in here too. And this would be for your front bumper. Front bumper height is 35 inches. And these are both measurements with bleed included. So now I'm going to be able to make a separate file because we agreed that this front bumper is just going to be orange. So now I can make a separate file. We can call it Charger front bumper. And what I'm going to do is I'll make the width at 52 and a half, knowing that this will fit on a 54-inch roll. And I'm going to make the full 130 for the height. And I will go into further discuss how these files will be cropped and laid out in the next video. Your width, we said 35 inches by 130 high. I just made a rectangle. Now this is your front bumper. Very big for a Dodge Charger, a lot of stretching, a lot of maneuvering. I'm going to go back into my design. I'm going to copy this, paste this, take my rectangle, do a color overlay of orange. Make sure that these match up. They do. And there you have your bumper. That will be further explained in the next video. Just wanted to show you how it starts. Now, for the rear bumper, same terms apply. We know that this line to this line is still 72. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to make a new grid line at the very back of the bumper. New grid line at the front of your rear bumper. And we're going to make the bleed again. So I got 164.6. We want to come back to 161.6. For this side, we got 196.5. We're going to come up to 199.5. We'll call it an even 200 on that one. Going to come down here again. Got 66 inches. And for the sake of just having enough material on this, we're going to come up to the very top of the spoiler. So we're working with this line, this line, this line, and your edge. So now we can once again have my rectangle. I'm going to copy it, turn this off, paste it, and I'm going to drag it and make it sized. And the reason I knew that this line was the correct one was because this is 3 inches off of that. So from here, we have 38 by 38. And again, this rectangle is just for reference, just so we could see the length and the height. So I'm going to actually write this in. That our rear bumper will be sitting at 38 inches high. So now we need to get our full length. So we just said that this distance to this distance, not that, this distance is 38.3. Let's just say 38.5 to be safe. So we're going to take this. We know that we have 38.5 on this side and on this side. So we're going to have to add those two together and then add it again to our top length of 72. I'm going to come in here, get my calculator. I know it's simple math, but I want to make sure that I'm right. Do that times 2. Add it to 72. And there we have 149. Yes, again, it is a very large bumper. Rear bumper length 149, and that is with bleed. So I'm actually going to bring this up even more again, just to be safe, to 152. We know now that we got a rear bumper length of 152, rear bumper height of 38, front bumper length of 130, front bumper height of 35. Again, going to come in, make a new file, do the width, 52.5, do the height at 152. And once again, take the rectangle tool, click, can type it in exactly as needed. Our width is now our height since we are working on a clockwise rotated canvas. 152 is our height now. And what I'm going to do is double check that that is the correct blue. Again, I'm going to take my design copy, come over here, and just make sure that I'm working with the correct blue, and it appears so. Get rid of that. Then I can then save this file as Charger Rear Bumper. And this file and this file are both ready to print. Forgot to mention, if you are needing a mirror to break up for print, I would suggest picking something from this section or this section, or maybe you want it solid orange, solid blue, whatever your colors are. On any sedan that I've worked on at this size, you can get away with doing your mirrors with a 20-inch by 20-inch section. So for the sake of this design, I'm just going to pick a 20-inch by 20-inch section within these crazy triangles. And that will be on the mirror. In the next video, I will be able to show you exactly how to lay out your prints on a canvas that is sized for the correct vinyl roll. If you're following along, look out for part 4. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.